All right, this is our very first digital arts project for this semester, and this is going to be our pizza project. This project is going to introduce you to the software that we're using and some basic steps. That way we can build on them for our future projects. So the first thing that I want you to do is you're going to find my class website link. I believe I posted this in every Google Classroom. So if you don't find it, just let me know. But right here it says class website link. So if you see that, just click on that and then click right there on the link. We want to go to our digital arts page. So there are two ways to get there. You can go up to the top right and click on the digital arts tab, or you can click on the digital arts button in the middle of the page. Okay, so this is the pizza project. So if you click on the pizza project button, it will take you right here. So this is an example of the pizza project that we're going to be doing. Everyone's is going to look a little bit different, even though we're using kind of the same steps. And you can make it your own, so you'll be able to make something that's individually creative to you. Right here, these are all the things that we will be using while we make this project. So if you want, I would have this tab of my website open while you work, so it's easier just to grab this stuff. Okay, so we are using for this project the app called Pixlr. This app is very similar to Photoshop. It's just a little bit more of a user-friendly version and a Chromebook-friendly version. So we don't have to download anything. You don't have to sign up or pay for something. It's just everything is there, and it's nice and easy to use. All right, so I want you to click right here. If you just click on this logo, it takes you right to the Pixlr page. Now there are some things down here. If you see Instagram posts, YouTube art, Facebook posts, Pinterest, Twitter, they have all these different things that you can make. So Pixlr really is, it does a lot. But what we're going to do is we're going to make our own thing. So we want to go right up here where it says Photo Editor and Design Maker and click on the Create New button. All right, and then it brings you to this screen here. For this screen, this is where we're going to name our project and choose the size. So I want you to name your project pizza _ your name. So my name is Ava, so that would be what I would write. You would obviously write your name. So if your name is Mike, you are writing Mike. You are not writing Ava. All right. Right here is the width and the height. Normally, I would have you put this in as a specific width and height, but the advantage of Pixlr is that it has these already pre-made for you. So I've been using Square HD, which is right here. It's 1080 by 1080. So if you click on that, you'll see that the width and the height change to match what you just chose. And they already measured out. So if we were making an Instagram story right here, it already measured out how big it should be. So that's a really cool benefit of Pixlr. So once you have clicked on Square HD and your name is there, you're going to click on the background switch and you're going to turn that on. And we want to click white. So you don't have to do anything else. You don't have to move this guy around. Just click on the white box and then you'll be good. Once all of this looks correct, click create. And here we go. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do, we're making this all from scratch. We want to find the shape tool. So the good thing about Pixlr is that all of these, this is the toolbar here to the left, all of these tools, if you hover over them, it will show you what they do, which is really cool. This is not something that you find on Photoshop or on Photopea. This is why it's so user-friendly, because it has all these cool features. We are going to find the shape tool, which should be down near the bottom. It is right here. So if you hover over, it says shape, and you're going to click right on that. All right, so once you have your shape tool clicked on, you are going to come up to this top toolbar here. This top toolbar changes depending on what tool you have selected. So if I have the shape tool, I'm going to have other tools up here that have to do with the shape tool. Same thing if I have my drawing tool right here, my paintbrush, I'm going to have other things that have to do with the paintbrush tool. We'll be utilizing these toolbars often, so it's important that you know where they are. Okay, so we want to make sure we're making a pizza, so we want it to be round. We're going to keep the mode on design, and we're going to change the type of shape to circle. And then the fill color, you can click on this. We want to find like a pizza crust color. So to do that, I usually switch over to like the orangey section. When I move this little guy, and you can see it changes right here where it says fill. I try to find like a good, I haven't had pizza in a while, so I don't actually remember what a pizza crust looks like. Okay, that looks good to me. All right, so once you find a good pizza crust color, you can just click out of this and it'll save for you. Then you can click and drag right here on your blank page to make a circle. I'll try to make it, as circly as you can. You don't want to make it too big and you don't want to make it too small. We want to make it, takes up most of the page. And then it just fills in the color that you chose. And then you can move this around, and I want you to try to center it in the middle of the page. So right here, this little pink line shows up. These pink lines that show up, they are there to align your shape. So I don't know if you remember, hopefully you do, but in the Elements and Principles project, you guys looked at the word alignment. This is what alignment is. It's lining it up with the center. And once you find the two pink lines that cross over each other, that's how you know you're right in the center. So right here, I am in the middle. All right, the next thing I want to do is, now that I have this down here, I want to make sure if I need to find this, I can find it easier. So I need to label what this is. Right here is called my layers panel. So the layers panel, it at first can be a little confusing. Each thing that you do is a new layer. So eventually we're going to be working with quite a few different layers. So if they're all called layer 1, layer 2, shape 3, shape 4, color 1, it's going to become confusing. These little check boxes right here, if you check them off, you'll be able to tell what layer you're on because whatever it is will disappear. So what we want to do is we want to get into the habit of renaming these layers. So to do that, you're going to click these 3 dots right here to the left of the layer, and it comes up with these settings. I'm going to name this one Pizza. You can leave the blend mode to none. You don't have to worry about any of this down here. We will get into this a little bit later, but just for now, I want you to get into the habit of naming these layers. That way you know what they are. This layer 1 here is usually, this is the background layer. This is what Photoshop does. This is what Photopea does. Pixlr does it too. They always automatically give you a layer to start out with. You don't have to delete this. You could just leave it here. It won't really affect anything. They just always give you that as an extra one. So that's why that's there. If you really want, you could click it off, but there's nothing on it, so it won't even matter. Okay. So where are we? We just made our pizza crust. So the next thing we want to do is fill it up with sauce and cheese. So to do that, we are going to find our paintbrush tool, which is down here. It looks like a paintbrush. It says it's the draw tool, although I call it the paintbrush tool because this is the drawing tool, even though it says pen. It's just easier to differentiate these. So we're going to click on that paintbrush. And as you can see up here, there is no paintbrush options. That is because we're still in our pizza layer. So what I want to do is go over here to my layers, and I want to click this plus button. And then it asks you what kind of layer you would like to add. You are going to click empty. All right, so this added a new layer. You can see it says layer 3. So we are going to change this layer 3 to sauce. And nothing else has to be changed, it just can be sauce. Now, we're still in our paintbrush tool, but now this toolbar appears. The reason for that is because we could not edit this shape. Sometimes it does that with shapes. You're not able to edit them. So in order to add something on top of this, we would just add a new layer. It's the easiest way. And eventually we will combine these two layers so they will be like one. So what I want to do next is I want to look up here on my top toolbar and I'm going to click on my brush, this little like white circle thing that looks like the moon. And I want to find, these are all different sizes, like the shape of the brush. It's very cool. They have like star shapes. We're just going to use a regular circular brush. I will just click on this 50 right here. Is that a good size? Let's see. If you want to change the size too, you could just use this, and then this will tell you what size it will be. I like to keep my softness at 0. That just means that it's more of like the line is a little bit more bold. It's not as faded. But again, this is up to you, giving you the creative control. And then I want to find, we're going to be painting our sauce, so I need to find a sauce color. There is no color button up here, so we have to go down to the bottom of our toolbar and click on the white circle and find a saucy color there. So let's see. That's quite red. All right. Once you find a good color, you can click OK, and then you will be able to start painting your sauce on. What I don't want you to do is add the sauce as just another circle on top, because that doesn't, we want this pizza to look, even though it's not real, we want it to look a little bit realistic, and it's just not realistic that your pizza sauce is ever like a perfect circle right on top of your pizza. That never happens. So once it looks like this, then we can start with our next step. Okay, so I want to stay in the drawing tool, the paintbrush tool, whatever you want to call it. But this, I want to draw the cheese on here. So to do this, obviously I'm going to need a smaller brush. This is a very large brush to make cheese. And we talked about this too, proportion. If this is supposed to look like a realistic pizza, cheese is never this big. So we want to change the size of our brush. Now, you can do it up here this way, changing the size up here, or this is something that you'll learn to love. There are, on the keyboard, you can use keyboard controls to make your paintbrush smaller or larger. The two keys, they are those, the arrow above the comma and the arrow above the period on the keyboard. So the comma button makes it smaller and the period button makes it bigger. So this is very tiny. As you can see, it doesn't quite have a big jump between these. So if you want something a little more specific, you might want to go up here, but for the sake of this project, this is probably fine. So once your brush is a good size, I would say anything between 3 to 5 is good. PX means pixels, so anything between 3 and 5 pixels is probably good. You are going to change your color back down here at this color picker, and we are going to find a cheese color, which I would say is probably yellowish white color, beige maybe. And then this part takes a little bit, so you might want to pause the video at this point, but I want you to fill up the pizza with cheese. Now this is not enough cheese. Everyone always gets extra cheese on their pizza. So let's try to make a good effort of putting in a good amount of cheese, because if there's not enough, it's not going to look realistic. So if I were you, I would pause the video. I'm actually going to pause it right now so I can finish this, so you don't have to watch me do this whole thing, and then play it once you have finished with your cheese. So I will be right back. All right, I have my cheese finished. I would like to do more cheese, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to leave it as this, but it should look at least this full. Probably should look fuller, but this is a good amount for now. So what I'm going to do next is we are going to find the burn and dodge tool. So the burn and dodge tool is, again, on our toolbar. It looks like this half moon thing. It says dodge/burn. The dodge tool will make an area lighter. The burn tool will make an area darker. So we're going to click on this. Up top here where it says mode, lighten or darken are the two modes. We're going to start with lighten. And again, we have our brush here. I usually like to work with my brush a little bit bigger for this, maybe like 65, but I'll leave that up to you. We want to make our crust a little bit lighter. However, right now I am not in my crust layer. Do you see? I'm in my sauce layer. So if I do this onto my sauce, you can see that it starts to lighten up. What I want to do is use this lightener on both because this pizza is now one whole pizza. So to do this, we are going to merge these two layers, and I'm going to show you how to do that. It's very simple. You just go up to this the top layer here, click the three buttons, and we are going to click on merge down. That will merge all of the layers that are underneath this sauce layer. So right here. So now in this little picture, you can kind of see that it combined them. So if I move this around, everything is going to be attached to each other. So that's how you merge these layers. It's much easier to merge the layers in Pixlr. I can't find the center than it is on Photoshop. All right, so we're in the burn and dodge tool. I'm on lighten mode. My brush is about 65, and I want to start cooking this pizza. So I'm gonna make a couple of highlights. If you feel like the highlights are not, much of a difference, the strength will make them stronger. So you can see that it's a little bit lighter. So again, that is up to you how light or dark you would want this. So I'm just gonna go around. Maybe I'll do a little bit highlights here. Up to you. And every time you go over it, it gets lighter and lighter. So if I just click and click and click, it's going to get lighter and lighter and lighter. So if you mess up, to undo, you would click on Control Z, as in zipper, on your keyboard. So if I, went like this, I don't want that, I would click Control Z. And every time you click Control Z, it will undo the last thing that you did. So that Control Z will become your very best friend. All right. Now, I already put my highlights in. I need to put my shadows in. So I'm just going to go right up here, back to my toolbar. I'm going to click on darken. And it's all the same. And now it's going to give me a little bit darker. And again, if you keep clicking on an area that you already burned, it's going to get darker. So yes, right? Now since this already has some lightener on it, it's going to look a little bit lighter. So you can just kind of click. If you want it to look a little bit burnt, I would do like a few clicks instead of clicking and dragging. So look, if I do all these clicks, it looks like it's well done. Not personally how I enjoy a pizza, but some people do. And then I'm gonna do a little bit on here too. And again, if you mess up, you think something's too dark and you don't like it, click Control Z and it'll go away. All right. There we go. Now I'm going a little bit crazy with this thing. Okay. And again, the more highlights and shadows you have, and this goes for any project, in any type of art or anything, more highlights and shadows makes it look way more realistic. So, I mean, I think this looks pretty realistic. I don't know about you, but I think this is pretty good for a little Pixlr pizza. All right, so once I have done all of my shadows and highlights and I feel like I'm done with it, I am then going to click on the Move tool. The Move tool is right here at the top. We call it Arrange, but in Photoshop it's called the Move tool. And since Photoshop is kind of like the queen bee of softwares, I'm going to go by the Photoshop term. So the Move tool is right here at the top. This is your home base. You can move anything with the Move tool. But you can only move it if you are in the selected layer. So right now we only have the one layer, so it's easy to be able to move this, but eventually we'll have a few layers, so you want to always make sure if you want to move something, you are in the right layer. All right, so I am going to go into my website, which you should have the tab open. And if you don't, you can pause the video right now and you can go and open it. And then we are going to copy and paste our toppings into our pizza project. So to do that, you can right click on the toppings image and click copy image. Go back to Pixlr, and I believe if you click Control V as in Victor on your keyboard, it will paste for you, but for some reason mine is not doing that. So for me, I would go to Edit, Paste. Yeah, see, it says Control V. I don't know why my control's not working. All right, these toppings come in humongous. Obviously, toppings are not this big, so there's these white squares all around our toppings layer. If you go in and out, obviously it gets smaller or bigger, so I'm going to just try to fit it like right into the pizza right there. Okay, so now we're starting to add a few more layers. If you come to your layers panel over here, it says clipboard because it's the image you clicked from your clipboard. We're going to rename this to toppings. Click on the three dots, and I'm going to name this toppings. You're going to leave everything else. Oh, toppings. Okay, toppings. You're going to leave everything else the way it is. If you just click out, it will save for you. Okay, so how do I get rid of this white background? Very simple task. We're going to use our magic wand tool. Very fun. So the magic wand is right here. It's the fourth one down. They call it wand select. So if you click on this, we will go over all of these at a different time. We just need just the basic of the magic wand today. You're going to click on the white background. So you should see these marching ants. That's what they call them in the digital arts world, these marching ants, all around all of your toppings. And if you click on your keyboard, Control X, that will cut them out, just like this, so it disappears. The marching ants will still be there. To get rid of the marching ants, you're going to click Control D. Control D is deselecting, which means that we're getting rid of what we already selected. So if I want to get rid of these dots, I will click Control D and they go away. I still have some white in my olives, so I'm going to click on the white. Again, Control X, Control X, Control X, and I'm going to keep Control X. There we go. And then at the end, I will click Control D to get rid of those dotted lines. If you don't click on Control D, you won't be able to do anything else. For some reason, it just it doesn't let you move anything. It doesn't let you draw on anything. So just make sure you click Control D whenever you have those dots. Normally, I would say 75% of the time, if anyone has an issue and they can't move something, it's because they have something selected. So just keep that in the back of your mind. All right. So what we want to do next is I'm going to take my eraser tool and erase any of these toppings that I know I do not want. I want you to keep at least 3 different toppings, okay? Doesn't matter if you don't like it. I don't like any of the toppings. Just for the sake of this project, I want you to try to keep 3 different toppings. So I'm going to find my eraser, which is right down here. It looks like an eraser. And again, you can change the brush size. If you want to come up here, you can change it. Or if it's easier, which I think it is, you can click the comma or the period to make it bigger or smaller. I am going to get rid of the pineapples. And if you can see, I'm only erasing the toppings. My pizza is not being erased. The reason for that is because this is on its own layer. So over here, the toppings are on their own layer. So if I uncheck it, they'll go away. That's how we know. So if I'm on this layer, nothing else will be affected. So if I have to erase something over here, then the pizza should be fine. I don't know what these are. It's like green bananas. I don't know. I'll get rid of the olives. And I will get rid of the mushrooms. Okay, so I'll keep these. All right. Once you're done erasing, you are going to click on the selection tool, which is called the marquee select on this one. And there's two different types. There's rectangle or circle. Really doesn't matter which one. For the sake of this project, since we're using more circles, I might click on the circle button. Might make it a little bit easier for me. We are going to, this part gets a little bit tedious, totally fine. You're going to select each of your toppings with this marquee tool, this selection tool, by clicking and dragging, and you get those marching ants, they're back. And we want to move this pepperoni somewhere. If I just click and drag, I'm only moving the marching ants. The pepperoni did not come with me. For the pepperoni to come, I need to click on the move tool because I'm moving it. Photoshop, Photopea, Pixlr, very literal. So if you want to move something, you got to click on the move tool. Always. So I'm going to move it over here, right? That's it. If I want to get rid of the dots, I click Control D, and then I start that process over. So I click on my selection tool. I click and drag. I want to move it, so I click on my move tool, and I move it somewhere. So you're going to do that with every single topping that you have that you want. It might take you a little bit of time. If you need to write this down, I would write it down. It's just, I believe it's 3 very simple steps. I'll do it one more time for you. Click on the selection tool, select what you want, click on the move tool, and move it wherever. Then Control D will get rid of those lines. So I'm going to go ahead and pause. I think now would be a good time for you to pause as well so we can get these all situated where we want, and then we will move on. Okay, I have moved all of my toppings except for some of these olives. They're I'm just going to erase some of these because it's taking a very long time. Okay. So once I have moved all my toppings, I want you to click on the move tool. You can then kind of make it bigger or smaller to fit a little bit better. You can turn it like this, however you need to. Just for fun, I'll turn it around a little. And there we go. So the next thing that we want to do, we want to go back to my website. We want to find our chef right here, right click, click copy, and then into Pixlr, Control V as in Victor, or edit, paste, and here he is. Now again, we're going to kind of repeat the same step that we did with the toppings a little bit. We're going to make him a little bit smaller because he's too big. And I'm going to move him up to my left corner. I'm going to kind of like do a little catty corner here. The only thing I want to do to him is I want to take out that white background. So I'm going to go to my magic wand. I'm going to click on the white background. And then I'm going to click Control X to get rid of that. To get rid of the dotted lines, again, Control D for deselect. And here we are. Again, he's on his own layer. Over here, I'm going to, on my layers panel, I'm going to rename it to Chef. As you can see, we're starting to pick up with the layers here, so it's a little bit easier to make sure that you have them all labeled so you know which one's which, because they're going to start to get very confusing. I don't know if this bothers anybody else, but for me, if you can see this tiny little white line, sometimes the magic wand leaves behind some stuff. So if you want to take your eraser to get rid of that, you can. There you go. And again, it won't erase my pizza or my toppings because it's on its own layer. All right, I'm going to click my move tool again. I can move him wherever. I'll leave him right here. And then I am going to find my text tool to write my name. Okay, so I am going to click, it should look like just a T. Yep, there it is down here. The type tool, text tool. If you click anywhere, I'll click right here at the top. It says, do you want to add a new text layer? Yes, add. And here you go. So you're going to type your name, me. There's like a million different cool fonts you can choose. We're going to change the color if you want. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to choose a font. The ones with the crowns on them is for like the special version of Pixlr, the one that you have to pay for. So I would just avoid those. And if you hover over them, oh my gosh, already looks like Barati. If you hover over them, it will show you what it looks like. I think I'm going to take this one. I'm going to change the color. Up here where it says fill. I just like it to be very simple. All right, so once you have everything that you want chosen, we're going to move this into the banner. Obviously, this is too big, so I'm going to kind of tilt this, and I'm going to change the size of this size right here. If I just kind of move this bar, it will change the size to something that fits. That looks good to me. And there we go. Once you have your name chosen, if you want to pause it, look through the fonts, look through the colors, that's fine. We're going to click on the Move tool again. Now it made its own layer, so it just says your name. If you want to keep it like that, you can. If you want to change it to name, you can change it to name. I don't know why there's marching ants, but I'm going to click Control D to get rid of those. All right, so the next step, we are going to add our soda and our straw. So we're going to go back to my website, right-click on the Coke bottle, click Copy, and then in Pixlr, we're going to click Control V, or since mine's not working, I'm going to click Edit Paste. Again, makes its own layer. We are going to take out its white background first, click on the magic wand, click on the white background, Control X, we'll cut the background, there we go. And then Control D, we'll get rid of those dotted lines. If I want to move this, I'm going to click on the Move tool. I cannot move it unless I'm in the Move tool. I'm going to tilt it a little bit in this corner, make it a little smaller. There we go. And then once I have this situated, I'm going to change its name to Coke bottle. There we go. Here we go. And then I'm going to go get my straw. So I'm going to go back into my website, click on my straw, right click, copy image, back into Pixlr. We're going to click Edit Paste or Control V. If my Control V was working, I would be using it. Now I'm going to try to measure this as best I can to fit into this Coke bottle. Okay. I need to get rid of this white background. It's very distracting. So I'm going to click on my magic wand, click on the white background, Control X to cut, Control D to get rid of the ants. And then I need to click on my Move tool to move my straw. I'm going to try to put my straw like in the Coke bottle. If you want to flip it around, you could go to, I believe it is, yes, Edit, Transform. If you flip horizontal, it'll flip the other way. Just a fun little trick. You don't have to. I'm going to put it right here. And then I'm going to change its name to Straw. If you are like me, and it bothers you that it's on the outside, there's a few things you can do here. We can either take the eraser tool, it's my eraser tool, we can erase part of the straw, or you can, this is another way to do it, click the straw layer and move it to behind the Coke layer. So now you can't see it. Those are two great things. Both of those ways are perfectly fine. However it is you want to do it, you can do it. All right, we are almost done. So at this point, we are going to add our background. So to do that, that is in my website as well. We're going to right-click on the tablecloth, click Copy, and then we are going to click Control V or Edit Paste, and we get our background here. Okay. The reason that the Coke bottle is on top is because I had my Coke bottle clicked on. So if I just want to move my tablecloth, I can move it anywhere. But we are actually going to move it all the way to the bottom because obviously the tablecloth goes under everything, right? So I'm going to move it all the way underneath my sauce. I don't have to move it under layer 1. It really doesn't matter if I do or not. But since we want this to be behind everything, I'm clicking, you want to click and drag all the way to the bottom. And here we go. So right up here, since I'm a stickler for this perfection business, you can see that my chef still has this white outline. So to get rid of that, I'm going to go back into my chef layer. Again, another great reason to label these. If you didn't label them, hopefully you did, but if there comes a point where you don't label things, if you click on these check marks, you'll be able to find which layer things are, because you'll be like, oh, okay, that disappeared. So I'm going to click on my chef layer, and I'm going to erase that annoying white line. You don't have to do that. I just have a problem with being a perfectionist. Okay, perfect. Once we do this, click on your, you can rename this to tablecloth. If you want, you can kind of move it around. Oh, hold on, I'm in the wrong layer. If I'm clicked in my tablecloth layer, I will be able to move this around as I want to. You saw I was not in my tablecloth layer, I was in my pizza layer. In my pizza layer, oh, now I'm in my toppings layer, it's going to move the layer that you're in. It's not going to move the layer that you want. You have to go and click on it. But that's it. That's the end of this project. So to save, we have to make sure we save everything. I haven't used Pixlr yet for this class, so I am still learning some of this with you. To save, normally you would do File, Save, and then it has your name. JPEG is what we want, JPG. A lot of you, for some reason, like PNGs. JPG is the way to save digital artwork. It's just most compatible with everything. So always save it as a JPG if that's an option. You can keep this stuff as it is, and then you can click download. I am on my Mac, so this is saving into a folder on my Mac. I'm not sure where. It's saving in my wedding folder. Doesn't make sense, but on your Chromebook, it's going to save in your recent downloads. Once you've downloaded it, you can click close, and I believe, let me just make sure. If I refresh my page, it saves automatically in Pixlr, but I don't think it saves here. See, I can go back in and play around with it, but I don't think it saves there like for a very long time. So always make sure that you save it to your actual computer first. Okay, so then once you're finished, you are going to go into the Google Classroom. I did not post for the pizza project yet, but when I do, you are going to click on the project. As you can see, I can't see what you see, but you would click in it and you would click add or create. You would be able to choose the file, and you would download the pizza project file from your recent files into Google Classroom. If you have trouble with that, please let me know. I can't unfortunately show you because I'm not on the student side of Google Classroom, but I'll try to go over that in class, maybe with an example. But that's it. That's our pizza project. So great job. Oh, where's my name? Oh my gosh. My name got turned off. There it is. So once you have this and you submitted it and you are good to go, then we can move on to the reflection.